Hi, Janice Strock here, certified personal trainer and owner of Freedom Health and Fitness. And today I wanted to come to you with some moves that everyone should be incorporating on a regular basis. These are going to be some moves that can help you improve your posture. If you're a beginner in fitness or you're an advanced athlete, you should also be incorporating these types of moves on a regular basis because it's going to help open up some zones that are generally really tight for most people. It's going to help you increase your range of motion, and it's going to give you more power and ability to lift more. So these are great for everyone. The number one thing that I hear when I'm doing an assessment and I ask someone if they have any physical limitations or areas of pain is the lower back. Lower back pain is so common, and I'm going to share with you why that's so common. If you're anything like me and you sit at a desk all day, or if you have a really long commute and you're sitting in the car for multiple hours a day, we actually teach our bodies to be in a constant state of flexion. And I'm going to show you what that looks like. Move back on the stability ball a little bit here. So as you're seated, your hips are flexed. If you're reaching out for a steering wheel, or if you're typing on a computer, your chest is flexed and your back and your shoulders are rounded. The back stretches out, the glutes stretch out, and the front stays in a constant state of tension. And we put a lot of pressure on our lower backs when we do this. The reason why is something called anterior pelvic tilt. I'm going to show you what that looks like. You may not even notice it or have looked for it, but what happens is a lot of times because your hips are normally in this state of flexion, when you stand up, your pelvis tilts forward, put a lot more strain on your lower back when you're doing regular activities of daily living, like carrying groceries, picking up your kids, or if you're doing lifts and you're using your lower back more than you need to be using it, just sets you up. It's a prime recipe for injury. So what I'm going to show you today is how to open these zones up and how to activate the muscles that have been stretched out. Glute amnesia is a real thing, guys. We need to teach those glutes how to fire again. We need to open up that upper back, get that a little bit more mobile, because once it's like this and we're not using it and moving it around, we lose our mobility, and the lower back area that's supposed to be a more stable area compensates for it, and then we get into the lower back pain, okay? So the two things that you need to be doing on a regular basis are releasing and activating. So the first thing, releasing, I'm going to start out with myofascial release, which is more commonly known as foam rolling. I'm sure you've heard that term before. I'm not going to use a foam roller today, but you can if you have one. I'm going to use a tool that I found that best suits this. It's about a 5-inch in diameter ball. It's hard. You're going to lay on it. You can be on a mat, you can be on the floor, whatever you have available to you that's comfortable. And what you're going to do for the first one, for the hip release, the hip flexor release, is you're going to put this right into your psoas muscle, and you're going to lay on it and rock back and forth over it, okay? What that's going to do is release that tension and open this zone back up, get things functioning better so that when you need to extend that area, you're able to, and you don't lose that extension. You're not forwarding with your lower back, and you're kind of limited in that range of motion. The next area that I'm going to show you how to open up is your chest. I'm going to put the ball in this zone right here, your upper pectoral area, just below that shoulder, kind of where you're rounded forward, and we're going to open that up as well. So I'm going to come over here to the mat. I'm going to take the ball and put it below you. Like I said, right in that hip zone in the front area. If you lay on this and there's too much tension built up and there's a little bit of pain as you lay on it, it's very common, okay? As you do this more and more, the pain will be a little bit less. You just really need to open up that zone. If it's too much, you can come up a little bit and not put as much pressure on it with your body weight. If you can handle it, get down there. Bring your body down and rock back and forth over that ball and open that hip zone up. There's a lot of tension in that area and a lot of people. You're always going to want to do both sides. So you move from this zone, you can work on that for about 30 seconds. Move over to the other side, do that for about 30 seconds. Then you're gonna bring the ball up to your chest area. You'll lay on it here. And all you really need to do for this one, as you lay on it, is make some snow angels. And if you are tight like me, you are really gonna feel this opening up. And it's really, really good release for you. Same thing, you can do it about 10 times, 30 seconds if you have a timer. So you'll start with 30 seconds of the release in the hip area, 30 seconds in the release on each side of the shoulder or the chest area. What we're gonna move on to next is stretching. So once you've released those tight zones, you're also gonna wanna stretch them. After we've stretched, we're gonna go into the activation. You can stay on the ground or on the mat for this first one. It's a kneeling hip flexor stretch. Bring one foot forward and you can kind of come down towards the ground. If you need to brace yourself on the ground with one hand forward, that's totally okay. You can do that. It helps you get into the stretch a little bit deeper. You can also be up here and just think about bringing this hip down and towards the ground, okay? And that'll really help open up this zone. If you have a towel or a resistance band, put it around that back foot. As you're in the stretch, you bring that, if you can stay balanced, bring that foot towards you and lean in, and you'll really feel that open up in the quad and in the hip zone. It's a really good stretch. The next one that I'm going to show you, like I said, we want to increase the mobility in our thoracic or our upper back area so that our lower back does not take over if we're limited up there. So the next one is going to be a kneeling thoracic rotation. So you'll be in a quadruped position, which is really just on your hands and knees. Your knees are going to be underneath your hips. Your wrists are going to be underneath your shoulders. Bring one hand up. Your fingers will be towards your ear, your elbow bent, and you'll bring that bent elbow towards the opposite arm. Back up towards the ceiling as much as you can. Back down again. Back up. Down again. Make sure you hit both sides. I would say about 12 to 15 of those would be a good start. The next stretch we're gonna do is the world's greatest stretch. I love this stretch. It's something that I incorporate before a run, before a high intensity interval workout, before a lot of the things that I do, because it really helps open up a lot of the areas in the body and get you ready even before you start warming up with a, like a slower or a warm up where you're starting to sweat a little bit. This one is good to do even before you do that, okay? You'll start in a standing position. You're gonna reach down towards the ground, walk your body out. You'll be in a planked position. What you do from here is bring one foot forward on the outside of your hand. You'll take that hand that's next to your foot, reach up towards the ceiling. There's your thoracic rotation. After you bring that hand down, your rear knee you'll bring towards the ground. Move your body back, bring your butt towards the wall behind you. If you can touch your toes on this one, great. If you can't, be happy with just touching your shins. Start with where you can. What you're gonna feel is your hamstring opening up. The reason why we wanna open up the hamstring is because it's a synergist muscle to our glute muscles. So when your glutes aren't firing, your hamstrings take over. And we develop some instabilities there and some compensating things, and that leads to injury as well. So we want to open up that hamstring before we go to activate the glutes so that the hamstring's not taking over when we try to teach the glutes the firing motion again, okay? So you'll be here, bring your chest down towards your knee. That'll really help that hamstring stretch. You'll come back, bring that foot back, the other foot forward, thoracic rotation, back knee back, another hamstring stretch on this side. And you can do this in a flowing motion. It doesn't have to be slow. Where you're really just moving through it just to get some motion. versus an intense stretch. Just slowly opening those zones up. I would say 5 to 8 of those is a really good start before a workout or just to open things up. Next thing we're gonna do is activate. I'm gonna show you, you don't need one of these, but I highly recommend using it for these moves because it'll really help with the activation piece. This is a resistance band, and I use this for resistance workouts as well. I will be bringing some videos to you in the future showing you some moves that you can incorporate this with, but this is really great for these because it helps cue the body of where it needs to be. So this first one, which is a hip bridge, you're gonna bring this resistance band around both feet, move it up over your knees. You'll have your feet on the ground, your knees bent. The thing you wanna think about with this resistance band is pushing your knees out. Obviously the band is gonna pull them in a little bit because there's some resistance built in there. But in this move, you wanna have your knees as wide as your feet the entire time, okay? So you bring your body down to the mat, and your knees bent, your feet on the ground, about hip width apart. Before you go to raise your glutes for this bridge, you want to think about where your lower back is. If you're rounded, you need to reset by tilting your pelvis. You can also think about, if that's not something that registers quickly, you can think about bringing your belly button down to your spine. That way your lower back is against the floor for this to start out. You can have your hands here, you can have your hands on the ground, whatever's more comfortable. Just think about when you're doing this move, don't use your hands to help lift you. You're gonna wanna lift here with your glutes, come back down, lift with your glutes, come back down. Really squeezing at the top and feeling them fire. This gets them ready for a workout, or it just gets them moving, whether you're walking upstairs or taking a walk around the neighborhood. It just teaches them to start working again, okay? You're gonna do that about 15 times, and then you'll wanna do 2 sets of that. So start with 2 sets, build yourself up to 3, 4, and 5. You'll really be feeling it. The next thing you're gonna wanna do is a clamshell. The band will be in that same position above your knees. Your legs will be in a 90-degree angle with your feet together. You can be up on your forearm for this when you're on your side, or you can rest your hand or your head on your hand. The motion that you're gonna be doing in this clamshell is just raising that top knee and think about pointing it towards the ceiling as you come up, okay? And you're not gonna wanna be flying through this. This is not something you wanna do really quickly. You don't have to go super slow, but as you come up, you just wanna make sure that you hit that squeeze at the top and that you really feel it, okay? And same thing, 15 this side, 15 on the other side. You wanna keep everything balanced. Start out with 2 sets, move up to 3, 4, and 5 of that, and you'll be golden. The next activation move I'm gonna show you, once you've created a little bit more mobility in your thoracic area, then you need to work on correcting that roundedness and stabilizing your area around your shoulder blades, which is your scapular stabilizers. I'm gonna show you a few moves for that. You can do this on a stability ball, you can do this on a mat. The most uncomfortable thing if you're doing it on the mat or on the floor is that your face is gonna be towards the ground. If that doesn't bother you, you can totally do it that way, it's not a problem. You can also do this on a bench. You'll come on down with your stomach or your chest area kind of down on the bench or the ball. And you're gonna make some movements in the shapes of a couple of different letters. We're gonna do an I, a Y, a T, and a W. With the I, you're gonna have your arms straight out in front of you. Your thumbs are gonna be facing or pointed up towards the ceiling, and your fingers pointed out at the wall in front of you. You want to have your neck in a neutral position. You also don't want to raise your shoulders, okay? You want to be natural in the shoulder area, kind of pulled down. And you don't want to be cocked up or your neck down like this, okay? Just neutral, shoulders relaxed. What you're going to do is bring your arms up and down, straight up and down. Do that about 10 times, then move on to the Y. When you're doing a Y, think about being in a square room with your fingers pointed towards the corners of the room. Your thumbs will still be facing the ceiling or pointed up towards the ceiling. Same thing. Bring those thumbs up and down, straight up and down, straight up, down. 10 times. Come out into a T position. Again, shoulders relaxed, neck in neutral, thumbs up, down, thumbs up, down, 10 times. Then you're gonna come into the W, where you bring your elbows back and your arms are in a W position. Bring those fingers straight out, straight back, straight out, straight back. I'm feeling that after just 3 of those W's. If you do this 3, 5, should be doing it about 10 times, you're definitely gonna be feeling it, and it's really gonna increase your strength in that area, and it's gonna improve your posture and get things flowing and moving the right way that they're supposed to be. So if you're someone who's lifting a lot with a lot of overhead movements, you're gonna wanna be doing that as well, because what that's gonna do is stabilize that area. Our shoulders are the most mobile joints in our body. So you wanna make sure that that area is stable when you're going up into a lift, so that you don't compromise your rotator cuff and a lot of things that you hear common injuries on, okay? So hope that's helped you today. And if you have any questions, if you have trouble with flexibility in any of these areas, if you struggle getting into any of the positions, if you have any questions in regards to them, you can go to my website, contact me through there. My website is freedomhf.com. That's freedomhf.com. And you could also email me at Janice, Janice, at freedomhf.com. And I'm happy to look forward to connecting with you there and helping you in any way that I can. Thanks so much for tuning in today, and look out for some new videos coming.